Welcome to the Lindsay and Tony podcast, where we talk about spirituality, business, and life experiences.
In this podcast, we're bringing our private conversations to you.
We believe that it's through discussion, action, and reflection that true change occurs.
Hi everybody, welcome to episode 77. We will be talking about the 3 life lessons that we learned staying in a cabin in the middle of the mountains. In this episode, we'll share our thoughts and our experiences and some insights that we had while staying in the mountains in North Carolina. I hope everybody enjoys the show.
Hi guys, welcome back. We're so excited that you're here. Today's episode is all about the 3 things that we've learned by staying in a cabin in the middle of the woods on a mountain. So we're actually here right now, and haven't we learned a lot since we got here?
We learned so much because you're just by yourself. You're with yourself and your own emotions, your own thoughts. There's no distractions on the outside. There's nobody else to point fingers at to distract from your own stuff that's going on. And we all have our own stuff that's going on all the time. It's a never-ending process. So
yeah, and it actually, everything started by driving up to the cabin. So we're here in North Carolina. We're right near Magic Mountain, right? Is that what this is?
Heavenly Mountain, right?
There's one called Heavenly
Magical
and one
Mountain
called Magic
too.
Mountain. I forget what spot we're in, but we're right, not too far, like probably 29 minutes away from Boone, North Carolina.
We're in Banner Elk, North Carolina.
Yeah. So if you look that up, I don't know how many people are in this little area, but probably a small amount.
Yeah. So let's go with number 1. So number 1, we learned this right away on our way to our cabin, and it's fear of the unknown.
Mm-hmm. That's always going to come up when there's fear of the unknown. We knew where our destination was. We knew that the cabin was at a certain address, but when we started driving up this big hill, it turned from pavement into a gravel road.
Right. So at one point I knew that it was going to be dark at 8:00 p.m. because I looked that up before we got here. Our goal was to get to the cabin before it was dark because we drove from Philadelphia, which it took about 9 or 10 hours actually to get here. And we timed it out to where we could get here a lot earlier than 8 p.m. Mm-hmm. And we thought that, and then we ended up getting here at 7:30 p.m. and we're driving up this gravel road, and all of a sudden it says we're at our destination.
And the road was split.
And there was a split road, and we didn't know where to go. There was no cabin around. We looked down this huge hill, and there was a cabin down there, but we were like, how do we get to it? So Lindsay called the guy, or the customer service with Carolina Cabin Rentals, and she was asking him, where's this cabin at?
Yeah, and the only thing that he really did was he read exactly what I already had on my email, but just having him on the phone gave some sort of peace of mind. And I think that's what happens with the unknown, is there's a lot of fear behind, getting someplace. We know in our mind that we have this vision of our destination, but when we can't see ahead, that's when it can get scary, and it's very easy to want to turn back. So you want to share what happened with your thoughts?
Right, so why is it the fear of the unknown? Because we live in the city. Most of the time we're in the city. I love being in nature. I'm in nature a lot, but a lot of the times we're in nature that's close to the city. So this was an unknown to us. And so we're up at the top of this mountain at 7:30. We can't find the cabin. And my first thought is, we're driving back down the mountain and we're going to the city of Boone and we're going to book a hotel. Like, I literally was thinking that.
So He's like, I don't care. We're going back to Boone. I'm like, wait, what?
I'm like, I'm going back to Boone.
No,
there's bears on this mountain. It's dark. We're on a gravel road.
Well, it was about to get dark.
Keep in mind, this gravel road, there was only enough room for one car on the road. So if there was another car coming down it, I didn't know what we were going to do. Like, I didn't know if we were going to back up. But this is a lot like Lindsay was saying. She was saying, you have this vision, you have this dream, you know where you want to go. And a lot of times, the people that we're talking to here, you're like us, you're dreaming things that there's not many people that went that way. There's not really a path. You have to make your own path. So you know where you want to go, you know what you want to do, but you have this fear. So instead of going back down the mountain and booking that hotel, you might be thinking, let me go back to my teaching job. It's safe, secure, I'm comfortable there, I have benefits, I have a guaranteed paycheck. I'm gonna go back down and book that teaching job.
Because it's comfortable.
Because it's comfortable, and there's certainty there. And like all humans, you want that certainty. When you have uncertainty, it makes you uncomfortable, like we were at the top of that mountain.
Yeah. I actually felt like I was doing a good job of staying calm. I felt like I was trying to do good.
You stay calm. That's why we're a team.
I tried to, and that's why we work good together. But we were laughing about it after when we figured out how to get down. And I think there's a lesson in this too, is that when you're going through different things and you have this destination in your mind, this vision, there's not going to always be a paved road. It could be like what we came into, the gravel road, where you don't know where to go. It's a rough patch, but somehow the gravel road can end up at the most beautiful destination. And that's exactly what happened for us.
And that's exactly what happened. We drove down, we ended up driving. So after looking around for a moment and Lindsay's talking to the customer service guy, we noticed that fork in the road. Like we drove back a little bit. I actually had to turn around on this road. I don't know how I did it, but it was kind of freaky. I don't know either.
That part I was scared about.
So we drove down the fork and we realized that there was a stump sticking out with the numbers. It was a brown stump, so it blended in and it said 1396. And that's the number. It's like, oh, here it is. But then we parked at the top of this gravel road because we didn't know if we went down this gravel road,
if we would ever get back.
If we would ever get back up, or if it was going to lead down the mountain, or what was going on. So I was like, let me get out of the car and I'll walk down there. So I got out of the car and I walked down there and I saw this beautiful cabin with this beautiful creek called Beach Creek flowing in front of it.
You might even hear it on the mic. I don't know if they're going to hear it. We have the door open, so you might be able to hear it. I'm not sure.
And it's constantly flowing and it's stunning. So like Lindsay said, a lot of times when you have this dream, you have this vision, you might have to take that road that's a little shaky, that's rock, it's not paved, it's not perfect, it doesn't look great, it's not all beautiful. Actually, it's beautiful in its own way. If you can see that beauty, if you could train yourself to see that beauty, and then it leads to the most beautiful destination. I forget who it was, but they said if you follow your dreams confidently and you just act in the direction of where you want to go, you're going to find a success that's uncommon. And I probably slayed that quote, but a lot of you know what I'm talking about here. So, and the success that's uncommon is this beautiful cabin that we're in right now. And we found it. Long story short, we ended up finding the cabin, and now we're here.
And it's beautiful. I don't want to leave. It's been amazing.
So let's go to number 2.
Okay.
So when we got to this cabin, when we arrived, all of a sudden everything was calm and it settled. And I started to feel all of these emotions. All of these emotions started coming up. So I picked up my guitar, which is right over here to the right. You probably can't see it. And I started playing. And all of these emotions started coming up. And I started to realize how self-aware I was of my emotions. And after traveling for the last 2 months in St. Louis and Michigan and Canada, and then staying in Boston for about a month and surrounded by family, and we've been seeing people almost every day for the last 2 months, I realized this was the first time in a while that I was just with me and my emotions. And I was feeling literally every emotion possible. You know, the sad, the happy. I was thinking thoughts that I haven't thought about in a long time, or I wasn't aware that they were there in a long time, that they actually been there the whole time. And it helped me hit these thoughts straight on and actually process them.
Yeah. And that's the power of, what was number 2?
Number 2 is you're aware of your own thoughts.
Yeah. So,
which you brought that up. You said those specific words because you said your friend Kelly was in Thailand.
Yeah. So when I spoke with my friend Kelly in Thailand, and she was living in this really tiny little, actually a mountain town. Now that I'm thinking about it, it's a mountain town up in Thailand where there's very few people that live there. And she was saying, it's so weird, I'm actually hearing my own thoughts. And I'm like, that's so cool. But I understood it, but on a certain level. And then when I came here, I'm like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what she's talking about. because it's almost like the second that we came into this cabin, we were sitting at the kitchen table, and we just took a moment to really process what was taking place, and it was silent. And it was this quiet moment of that feeling when you're making a snow angel. If you've ever made a snow angel or just laid in the snow, when it's completely crisp and cold and wintry but clear, that feeling of clarity, that's exactly how it felt. Or if you've ever been underwater where everything comes clear to you, it feels like this moment of zen or freedom. That's what we felt. And you could hear your thoughts, and everything slowed down, and everything was also kind of loud around me.
It
like
was.
The energy, the space of this.
So why is this important to hear your own thoughts? Well, it's important, I believe, because we could think positive and we could focus on our dreams and we could go after that, and that's all great. But if we're not real with what's actually going on in our own energy and our own emotions, you're never going to deal with it. You're never going to move through it. And I look at our energy and our emotions, it's just like this creek that's outside. It's constantly flowing. But if we don't take time to really become aware of our own thoughts and emotions, we're not going to know what's actually going on here. So we could have all of this baggage in us. And a lot of us do. We all have some form of baggage in us that's holding us back. And you could do all the positive affirmations and you could focus and do all the right actions, but if you don't deal with that and you don't hit it straight on and you don't speak the truth and you don't live in your truth. I made a meditation earlier here, actually on a Facebook Live, and I was talking about how truth is so healing, but a lot of times it will come in negative form, like in negative circumstances, negative situations that happen in your life. You know, maybe it's a car accident, maybe it's an anxiety attack, maybe no matter what it is, maybe it's somebody, you know, your significant other telling you something they've been wanting to tell you for the last 5 years, and it's painful to hear, like, hey, you're kind of annoying to be around sometimes, or your anger problem is really getting to me, and it's really something we have to work on, and it's not something you want to hear. But the whole point of this, it's something you need to hear. It's something you have to process. So going back to your own emotions, you must hit them straight on with truth and be real with yourself about what actually is going on. Because when you're not self-aware of your own thoughts and you're out in the city living and you're constantly going and you're constantly, well, you have a lot of things on the outside that you could deflect your own stuff on. And you could be like, well, this person's the asshole over here, or this person is always acting like this or this, and a lot of times we're deflecting our own emotions on other people to where it might be a band-aid for the moment, to where you could deflect it and, you know, it could make you feel good for the moment, but in the long term it's going to hinder your success. And what I mean by that is you might attract all these great things into your life, but if you're not in tune with your emotions and you're not really self-aware, you could be in a cabin like this and not even be able to receive it.
That's so true. And I think that's part of that moment of solitude and being aware of that, and being aware of the thoughts.
Absolutely. So should we go to number three?
Yes, number
So
three.
number 3 is, let me check my notes here, outside of your comfort zone. So going outside of your comfort zone. Why is this outside of our comfort zone? So like I said at the beginning of this episode, we live in the city most of the time. Mm-hmm. We're constantly surrounded by noise, cars, everything. We live in Tampa Bay, and even if we're not in Tampa Bay, a lot of times we're in Boston, we're in St. Louis, we're in these big cities. So this is outside of our comfort zone. I was telling Lindsay, you go.
What were you going to say?
Well, I was going to say, I was telling you, I think it was earlier today or yesterday, I understand now. I get it when I'm rollerblading or bike riding through these cities and I bring people along with me, and to me it's so comfortable for me. I could throw my rollerblades, I could be in New York City, I could be in Toronto like we just were about a month ago, and I'm totally comfortable rollerblading through stoplights, going through people, and it's in my comfort zone because I've been doing it since I was 6 years old. I've literally been running the streets, riding my bike, and it's my comfort zone. So when I was here in this cabin and I realized, whoa, I'm outside of my comfort zone. I'm feeling a little bit like to where I'm like looking around my surroundings. It made me have compassion for everybody that I bring on these journeys with me that are not in their comfort zone when we're rollerblading through the city or we're bike riding through the city.
Yeah. And I think that's important to know too, that when you're leaving your comfort zone, it is going to be really uncomfortable, and you'll actually think that you're getting an intuitive hit not to do something. So maybe a door will feel like it's closed and you're wondering, wait, that's a sign I'm not supposed to do it. Well, it doesn't always mean that. A lot of people think that just because a door is closed, it means that you're not meant to do it. Sometimes it just happens, but you just keep on moving and you realize that no, that direction is okay to go in. So when you're leaving your comfort zone, you are going to meet with some sort of resistance, kind of like what happened to us where we got lost on the top of this space where we didn't know where we were going. But in the end, it became more beautiful. So it'd be really easy for us to go back down and hang out in an area that feels comfortable. It's overpopulated, or it's more populated than what we've been in right now in this cabin. But when you leave your comfort zone, it shakes something up within your energy. And when your energy shifts, your perception shifts, and then the stuff that you attract into your life shifts too. So the more you do something that's out of your comfort zone, the more that you're going to attract that's outside of your little box. And that's what's really important. And we actually spent time in a cabin not too far from here. I think it was about an hour away, right? Bryson City?
I think it's more about 2.5, 3 hours
2.5
maybe.
hours. Okay. So it's like in that, it feels like the same vibe in a way, but we thought that was secluded, but no, it wasn't.
No,
we
not
were
at
near
all.
cabins. But this one's not really near much. Like you really have to go up into
Like we
this
said, we
area.
literally took gravel roads
Yeah.
to get here. Like we're in the middle
Yeah.
of the mountain.
And that's not the whole way. Like the gravel road was like 7 minutes long or 10 minutes long, but
Yeah.
it feels longer when it's windy too. But the one thing that I would say is trust that feeling. If you have a passion to do something, even if it's outside of your comfort zone, trust it and go for it and watch things unfold. Just try it out the first time. It's going to make you do more of those things, because we did that with Bryson City. We went to that cabin and we got sucked into doing another cabin experience. Because being around people for as long as we're around every single day back to back, it's great to see family and friends, but you do need that downtime. And I think that's a big learning experience with being in the cabin in the woods, that we need more time like this.
Absolutely. We definitely need more downtime.
As
And
humans.
it just makes you appreciate the time that you're around a lot of people. Like I was telling Lindsay earlier, being here makes me appreciate modern life. Like, it really does.
Oh,
like
yeah.
being around people, but then modern life makes me appreciate really being here. It's like the yin and the yang. And going back to the comfort zone thing, I look at it like you're riding a wave. Mm-hmm. So you start, a lot of you, maybe you've never rode a wave before, but you could imagine, like you get on the surfboard and you start, or even a skateboard or anything like that, you have to trust, or rollerblades if you don't do that much. You get on, or riding a bike, and you just have to keep pedaling, and it's exciting. And it's like a rush compared to fear. So a lot of times we go to step out of our comfort zone, like Lindsay was saying, and you confuse that rush or like a door shutting as I better not go there because it doesn't feel right. Well, when you go out of your comfort zone and you follow that interpol, it's not going to feel right. Meaning it's not going to feel like your normal, comfortable life. It's going to feel like riding a wave or riding the bike for the first time. You're going to want to go back a few steps, but you're going to know that, no, I need to go towards that way. There's just going to be an inner knowing. And the more that you trust that inner knowing, the more that you're going to realize it. When the call is there, you take the call.
Exactly. And I think that's a big thing. And you don't have to go to a cabin in the woods to recognize this, but you do have to have some sort of downtime in between the everyday life.
Absolutely.
And I think that, waiting, it was great that we did this, for 2 months and we were traveling, but it's nice to break it up. So we did break it up with different things throughout the 2 months, but I feel like it's a wake-up call for me, really, to take more time to do these things, not 2 months away. So the moment I feel like, oh, I need to check in with myself, I'm probably actually going to put it on the calendar and say check in with some sort of solitude, time for that. And it could be even in the morning, having your tea or your coffee or whatever it is. That could be time.
Or it could be on your lunch break. I know we were just in Philadelphia, and there's a huge, nice park in the middle of the city. So even if you live in a city, there's parks all around you. I know in New York City, there's even Central Park. Like, no matter where you go, you could find a place in nature to where it's more quiet than what you're normal. And just sit there with your thoughts, sit there with your energy, and just process everything.
Yeah. And if you can find a spot, even if it's 48 hours of a place like this, you go there. If you have to get a hotel for one night just to have that time, do that. I know everyone's thinking, well, I can't get a hotel each month, but if you can't do that, then go to the park, like Tony was mentioning. And that's something we build into our schedule. I feel like we're always in nature.
And if you don't believe you could get a hotel each month, watch the rest of our podcast episodes, because you'll start to believe it, that you literally could create whatever life you want. But that's a whole nother story.
That's a whole nother topic. You can find ways. Like if you're going to go and buy a Starbucks coffee, save that money and save up for a hotel, or do whatever you have to do to get the hotel. It's always available, but that is a whole nother thing. I could go off on like a long tangent on that. But we hope that our lessons of being here in this cabin in the mountains helps you in some area of your life, and share with us if anything like this has come up for you, where you had learning in moments of that solitude, of being by yourself in the woods or anywhere really. Okay, well, I hope you guys enjoy this episode, and we will see you next time.
See you next time.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.
We hope you enjoyed this episode as much as we did. If you liked it, leave a 5-star review on iTunes, and remember, subscribe to our YouTube channel too.
If you can think of anyone else that would love this episode, share it with them right now on social media or email. And remember, getting results is a process of learning, applying, and reflecting. Stay consistent and continue to grow every day.